What day is it? I'm like, happy Tuesday. After the long weekend, now my days are all jumbled up.
Mhm.
But good afternoon, or oh, sorry. Um, Welcome everyone. We are here with Brock Johnson. He is an Instagram growth coach. Super excited to have you here to run through all of the insides of your brain of why creators fail, some of the biggest, failures, and how you can become a creator in today's world. Really excited to jump into it. So, Brock, if you want to tell us, more about yourself and dive into it, yeah, really
For
excited.
sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. Good evening. Good morning, wherever you're watching from. I see that we're already worldwide. Carla's watching from New Mexico. And we also have the Philippines in the house. So if everyone is joining, just let me know where you are watching from in the chat. But we're super excited to get to chat this evening. And I'm really excited to get to share with you how to grow on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing why 99% of creators fail, why so many people struggle to grow. But of course, I would be a terrible coach if all I did was tell you why people fail. I'm also going to share with you how you actually grow, how to see results, how to see more engagement, more views, more followers from social media. We're going to be talking about all of those things this evening. So I'm super excited to get going.
Amazing. Okay, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, got lots of slides, so everyone get ready. We have lots of notes that are going to be taken tonight. Hello from Guam. That's actually where my father-in-law is from. Crazy small world. You never meet
Wow.
anyone from Guam. That's awesome. 1 a.m. in UK, says Laura. That's awesome. Tonight, the title of our training is Why 99% of Creators Fail to Grow. And for those of you who don't know who I am, in case we've never met before, first and foremost, I actually want to check and see. So type a number 1 in the chat if you've ever attended a live training with me before. Type a number 1. If you've never attended a live training from me before, or if you have no idea who I am, you don't follow me on social media, you just signed up tonight and you're ready to learn, type a number 2. 1 or 2. I want to see in the chat who's learned from me before and who hasn't, because I'm always curious. Has this audience, have y'all heard of me? Have y'all watched any of my trainings before? Okay, cool.
And if this
Awesome.
is
Well,
your
we're
first
going to get
time
going.
with Brock, then you
Sorry?
are in luck.
Sorry, Aniston?
I said, if this is your first time with Brock, then you are in luck.
Well, we have
You're in
lots
the
of twos,
perfect
which
spot.
fires me up. That's exciting. Well, we're going to get going here. Lots of twos, and I appreciate all of you. For those of you who don't know who I am, I've never attended a training with me before. I am Brock Johnson. I'm best known for my growth on Instagram. So a lot of what we're going to focus on tonight is specific to Instagram, but I do want to note that almost everything that I'm going to cover can be applied to other platforms like YouTube, like TikTok, like Twitter. A lot of the principles and strategies are going to be omni-channel present. So it doesn't matter which your preferred channel is. These strategies are going to help you out. I'm also a co-host of a top 10 marketing podcast with my mom. Some of you may know her, Shalene Johnson. That's my mom. Together, we run a couple businesses and we also co-host a podcast. And I'm also an advisor for Meta. So I personally give feedback and share insights with Meta staff. That's the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, in case you weren't aware. But my promises for tonight, I have 3 main promises for you. And those promises are, first and foremost, if you're a note taker, your hand will hurt from taking so many notes. And I hope you're taking notes because there's no chance you're going to be able to just remember everything I'm about to share with you. We have over 100 slides. So definitely you're going to want to be a note taker and your hands will hurt from taking so many notes. Number 2, everything that I'm going to share with you tonight has been tested and researched. However, you see that asterisk on the screen. That asterisk is because it's your job to double check me. What do I mean by that? Just because some expert tells you something, myself included, doesn't mean it's going to work. Just because it works for 99% of people doesn't mean you're not in that 1%. So test and see if it will work for you. It's our job as content creators and as entrepreneurs and as experts, whatever you call yourself, not to have all the answers, but rather to ask all of the questions. So I'm going to provide some answers for you tonight, but I want you to double check and keep asking those questions by testing all of the strategies that I share. And number 3, I will go on a few rants. There will definitely be a few tangents and a few moments where we need to get serious. But first and foremost, I have a question for you. Who here has ever heard of this app before? heard of or used this app. This app is called Bourbon. And let me know in the chat, yes, you have heard of it, or you have used it, or no, you have not heard of it, you have not used it. Bourbon was a social media app for bourbon drinkers. It was an app where people who liked the alcoholic beverage bourbon could get together. They could check in at their local, bars and pubs and find who the good bartenders were, find who made a good bourbon drink, right? Super hyper focused, right? No one in the chat, Donna, Christoph, Laura, Marie, Anna, no one's ever heard of this. Jason said, I've never heard of this. Yeah, most of you have not. I haven't seen one single person say yes yet. But are you ready to have your mind blown? Bourbon is Instagram. Bourbon, the app that not one person has heard of, is what became Instagram. Is your mind blown right now? Bourbon started with a super hyper specific niche, a super targeted group of people. Now, Instagram is the app that has like 2 billion active users all over the world. They're in like over 180 countries or something like that. They got their start in the most specific way possible, the most hyper targeted, niche focused way. But that's how they were able to grow into the Instagram that we're all on today. Anderson, had you ever heard of that before? Did you have any idea what Bourbon was?
Crazy. I had no idea. When did that start?
That was, I believe, 2010 was when that shift happened. So they started out with this hyper focus, the super clear niche, but then they evolved and grew into the Instagram that we now know of today. Why do I tell you all this story? Why am I sharing this with you? It's because step one for growing is to identify your niche. Another word, another definition for niche might be a focus, a category, a topic you are going to be focused on for your social media. And again, this is whether you're growing on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube, or if you're just trying to grow a business. Like Instagram is an application. It's a social media app, yet they were able to be so successful because in the early stages, they started with identifying a niche. And you want to know the honest truth? Do you want to know why 97%? I know we're going to address why 99% of creators fail. But 97% of them fail because they can't do this right here, or they don't do this, or they refuse to do this, or they just don't know about this right here. 97%. And that's not just some made up number. According to our new students who are coming into our academy, we test them and figure out like who knows their niche, who has their niche. 97% of people can't do this right here. Picking your niche, identifying your focus or your topic. This is what's stopping you from growing. I'm going to be honest. If you're watching right now, you are, odds are, mathematically speaking, in this category where we need to niche down further. We need to get more specific. We need to get more focused with our content. And I'm going to share with you a few ways that you can do that. First of all, I define niche in two parts. There's a lot of different definitions. Everyone has their own version of what niche means. Here are the two things that I define niche as. First and foremost, it's who you are posting for. Who you are posting for. Let's think about the app Bourbon. Their group, their hyper-specific group was bourbon drinkers. I want you to get as specific as possible. I don't want you to say, oh, well, my group is women. That's half the planet. And the way you're going to talk to a 22-year-old woman is different than the way you're going to talk to a 65-year-old woman, right? It's different than the way you're going to talk to a mom from Canada is different than the way you're going to talk to a single woman from China. Like there's just different ways you're going to communicate with them. Different words, different phrases, different stories, different experiences. So who are you posting for? I want you to think about demographics here. Get as specific as possible with the demographics. And number two, what are you posting about? What's the topic? And again, as specific as possible. Fitness is not a niche. Fitness is not a very specific topic. I see a lot of people who their Instagram bio says they help women with fitness and nutrition, workouts and weight loss. Those are not specific things. These are super broad general terms. And if you stick with a broad general term, you will not grow. So I need you to get specific about the who and the what. Those are the two things that I define niche as. Why niche down? Let's talk about it a little bit more. First and foremost, because it provides clarity, and it provides clarity for you. Because if you know that you're posting beginner rock climber tips for women in their 40s, you know what kind of content to post. You know what kind of TikToks to make. You know what kind of YouTube videos to create. You know what kind of podcast topics to make episodes about. The second thing that it provides, or the second group, I should say, that it provides clarity for is your followers. Because if I land on your profile and let's say I am exactly who I am. I'm a 26-year-old guy and I am a beginner rock climber. If I land on your profile and you say, I do rock climbing tips for people, then I'm like, I don't know if I should follow you or not. But if you say, I give beginner rock climbing tips to 26-year-old people, 26-year-old men who have never rock climbed before, then I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I should follow you. It gives me clarity as to why I should follow you. So get specific with that topic. And then the third area that it gives clarity to is the algorithm. When you are consistently posting about one specific topic, the algorithm knows who to show your content to. When you're posting about all these different interests and passions and hobbies, you confuse the algorithm, and the algorithm struggles to show you to the right people. But the more you can post about the same content, the same topic for the same group, the algorithms will learn whom to show your content to. It also provides notoriety, right? Because you can stand out. It provides credibility because you are now that person. You're the go-to person for beginner rock climbing tips for guys in their 20s. And it provides a sense of community. It provides a space where people can get together around shared beliefs or a shared topic or shared experiences. It provides that community, and that's such a huge component for engagement. So that's why you should niche down. And when I say niche down on Instagram, I'm referring to your feed posts. Your feed posts should be niche specific. Say it again. Your feed posts, so your reels, your carousels, your photos that you post on your feed, not your stories, but your feed. Those things should be niche specific, niche focused. On YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, I would say that the majority of your posts should be specific to your niche so that you can accomplish all of the things that we've already talked about. I do have a couple case studies that I wanted to share with everyone. This first one is Charisse Allison, and she started out by doing fitness for women. Super broad, right? Not super specific. But Charisse then niched down. She got super hyper focused. And instead of just doing fitness for women, she started talking about at-home workouts in less than 30 minutes or less for moms who were recovering from addiction. That was part of her story. That was part of her background. And she started specifically making content for that group of people and about that topic. And she grew from less than 1,000 followers to over 100K. That's pretty flippin' awesome. Another case study that I have here, this is the Mobility Duo. They're a husband and wife, and they do injury prevention for snowboarders through daily yoga. So it's not skiers and snowboarders. It's not, extreme athletes. It's specifically only for snowboarders. And it's through yoga. It's not through all kinds of workouts and fitness and everything and nutrition and bringing all these different aspects in, specifically through yoga. From 5K to 166K, and they're continuing to grow, continuing to scale. So for everyone who feels like it's too late to grow, it's impossible to grow on social media nowadays, it is not. And let the Mobility Duo be a great example of that. Such a great example. That is step one for growth. Step one. And again, that's why about 97% of people fail. So 99% of content creators fail because of the rest of the reasons we'll talk about, but 97% fail because they struggle to identify their niche. So if you take nothing else away from anything we talk about today, we are 14 minutes in. And if you log off right now, if your Wi-Fi shuts down right now, you at least know that you are ahead of, 97% of the other creators. Identify your niche. Step two, work on the bio and the 9 most recent posts. Did you have something you want to say, Anderson?
Sorry, I was just going to ask if say that someone is just starting and they have a general niche and they're wondering, how do I narrow it down? What are kind of some of the steps that you could run through to identify those, those other kind of niche down parts?
Totally. Absolutely. So it's oftentimes very beneficial to start with the more broad niche, or I should say the more broad industry, right? The things that are like, well, women and fitness. But then as you start to think about the demographics, oftentimes the group that you're going to feel most comfortable speaking to is the group that you are a part of or the group that you just were a part of. That way you're either speaking to a group of people who are just like you, or they're a group of people who you're just a little bit ahead of. You just
Yeah.
know a little bit more than you're just a few steps ahead of. So when you're thinking of the demographics, it can be very helpful to think about like, what are your own demographics? Who do you know who to speak to? Who do you feel comfortable speaking to? And then for the topics, it can be very beneficial to write like a long list of the things you're into, your interests, your passions, your hobbies, and then pick those things out and pick like, hey, which one could I talk about 24/7? Which one am I obsessed over? Which one could I monetize and make money from? Which one could I teach other people how to do? And that should help you get a little bit more clear on your niche.
Awesome. Love that.
Yep. So again, that's step one. And Lucia asked, what about mortgages and real estate? Those are industries. The way you're going to talk to a 20-year-old who is solo, they're single, and they're buying their first maybe condo or apartment or home maybe, the way you're going to talk to them about real estate is very different than the way you're going to talk to someone who's in their 40s and is interested in real estate investment. And that's different than the way you're going to talk to someone who is doing commercial real estate versus private real estate. And that's also different than the way you're going to talk to someone in their 60s who is looking to buy their dream home, right? So the way you're going to talk to people is different. And also like the areas of the country. A Southern California beach house and the way you're going to post about that is very different than a mountain home in Colorado is very different than a desert home in Arizona. So again, just get specific with that niche. Step 2, your bio and your first 9. The bio is like a billboard. We are flying by everyone's profiles at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So your bio, whether it's on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, I don't care. It needs to clearly articulate why I should follow you. Write that down. Why should someone follow you? That needs to be answered immediately in your bio clearly, so that when someone lands on your bio, they know what your niche is. They know why they should follow you and whether or not you are right for them. And newsflash, you're not going to be right for everyone. I'm not right for everyone. There's thousands of other Instagram coaches, and you might not resonate with me. You might not like my stuff. You might not like me, and that's fine. My goal is not to be liked by everyone because I know that's impossible anyways. So first and foremost, in your bio, identify why should someone follow you and identify what your niche is. And then the first 9 just refers to your 9 most recent posts, your 9 most recent TikToks, your 9 most recent YouTube videos. Make sure that those are a great example of what people can expect. Because oftentimes they're not going to scroll back into what you posted 3 years ago, but they want to make sure that your recent content reflects your niche and is a good example of what they can expect. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit more. The ABCs of the great bio. The A stands for an attention-grabbing profile picture. You can see mine here has this bright yellow background. Use Canva, use Photoshop to get rid of the background. Put yourself on a nice solid color. It grabs people's attention, especially when we're scrolling through hundreds of other profiles, hundreds of other usernames. You need to have your attention-grabbing profile picture. Next, the B is the actual bio itself. We've talked about that. A clearly stated niche, clearly articulating who do you help, who do you serve, who do you post for, what's your demographics, what is your niche. The C stands for content that fits the niche. Again, those first 9 posts, they need to be related to your niche. Because imagine this. Imagine let's go with the rock climbing example again. You're scrolling through Instagram, and I'm going to ask you to answer this yes or no in just a second. Yes or no. So you're scrolling through Instagram and you see, and you're a beginner rock climber and you're looking to learn, some tips, you're getting into the world of rock climbing. You want to get better at it. You're brand new. You're scrolling through and you see this, hey, this lady, she had a great post about rock climbing and she really helped me out in this post. It was super valuable, super educational. You tap on her profile and in her bio, it says, I'm a Virgo, I'm a mom of 3, I'm a wine lover, and I love my fur babies. And then you look at her 9 most recent posts, and there's that one post that you just saw that you loved about rock climbing, but then you see a picture of her kids, and you see a picture of her fur babies, and you see a picture of her and her husband out at dinner, and then you see a picture of her and her friends on vacation, and then you see a couple selfies, and then some more pictures of the kids, and there's nothing really else about rock climbing. It's just kind of that one post. Are you going to follow this woman? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Would you follow her? No, of course not. Of course not. That's one of the reasons that niche and posting content relating to your niche matters, because that's how you convert random viewers into actual followers. If they look at your profile, if they look at your channel and they see more content that relates or that is similar to or that talks about the same topics, then they're going to follow. It'd be like if you were like walking by a restaurant and they were like, hey, try our sample. You take a bite and it's like this delicious pizza. You had a delicious bite of pizza. And then you walk in the restaurant and they're serving like sushi. And then over here you can get salads. And then over here they're doing like Greek food. And then you can get your taxes done in the back. Like, you're not going to eat at this restaurant because you kind of got bait and switched. You came in because you found one thing that you liked, but there's not more of the same. So you're not going to follow. You're not going to follow.
Yeah.
And then the S, I included the S in the ABCs. The S stands for SEO. SEO, which means search engine optimization. Search engine optimization. All of these social networks are built on SEO. What does that mean? It basically means that they want to help their users. They want to help the Instagram users, the TikTokers, the YouTubers. They want to help people find what they're looking for. They want to, the social media apps, they want to help their users find other people who they'd be interested in. And so the way that you can help these algorithms, you can help these social networks help you, is by just adding keywords that relate to your niche. And I don't want you to overthink this, but this line right here on Instagram, 100% searchable. That's your title on Instagram. And so on that line, that's where I recommend putting some sort of searchable keywords about yourself. Most people on that line, they just write their name. And so if I were to do that, then the only way that someone could ever find me is if they searched for Brock Johnson, which no one's searching for. But a lot of people are searching for Instagram growth tips, Instagram growth coach. And so when they search those things, I am able to be discovered. My profile comes up because I have that added to my bio. So I want you to just be thoughtful about those kind of keywords, those phrases that you're adding to your bio. And I will say, be careful with what you add to that line, because I know it's a little bit small right now, but I made a change to this at one point and I accidentally wrote it as Instagame growth coach, which no one is searching for. And because Instagram's policies, I couldn't change it for 14 days, but then I got verified, so I couldn't change it for 60 days. And after that, I still couldn't change it. So I ended up having to get in contact with some of my staff, some of the staff members at Instagram, in order to change this. So a word of caution for everyone. When you're changing your bio, when you're changing your username and things like that, just make sure to spell check. Or else you might end up as an Instagame growth expert, which no one is searching for. All right, moving on. Again, to reiterate, before we do move on, I should say, step one, identify your niche, your focus. If you get nothing else from tonight, spend time getting more specific with your niche. In fact, I'll let you in on a little secret. The biggest industry experts, the most popular people, think of whoever you want. Think of whoever like the top dog is in your industry, or, you know, your favorite podcaster, your favorite person to follow on social media. I'll let you know a little secret. Their niche isn't even a group of people. Their niche is one person. When they're creating content, they have just one person in mind. One person. I was talking with Emily Ford today, who she's a business mogul, 9-figure entrepreneur. And she says when she posts, she has one specific person in mind. Myself as well. When I'm creating my content, I have one specific person in mind. So get specific with your niche. Step two, the bio in the first 9, right? We got to have our shop space looking good. We got to make sure that our content and our profile is looking good. And then step 3 of 3. This is step 3, y'all. Again, we're just doing 3 steps today. 1, 2, 3. This is step 3 right here. Step 3 is to post. Now, I put an asterisk next to that because we have to post with a strategy. And I'm talking about posting to your feed. I'm not talking about Facebook stories or Instagram stories. I'm not talking about anything else like, the TikTok stories now. Posting to your feed with a strategy. Let's talk about what those strategies are. But before we do so, I first have a disclaimer that Instagram stories will not help you grow your following. Instagram stories, I'll say it again, they won't help you grow your following. They have a purpose. Don't get me wrong. Don't get my words twisted. They have a purpose. Instagram stories are a great way to connect with people. They're a great way to build relationships. They're a great way to build trust with your followers. But your stories will not help you grow your following. They will not help you reach new people. Type a number 9 in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down. If you're smelling what I'm stepping in, if you understand what I just said, type a number 9 in the chat. I want to make sure we're all on the same page before we move on. Stories have a purpose, but their purpose is not to help you grow your following. So if your goal is to grow, then focusing on Instagram stories is wasting your time. All right, there's my 9s in the chat. Let's move on. What are the strategies? The strategies that are actually working in 2023. Let's talk about what are those strategies. 2023 growth strategies. They're magic hashtags. They are dancing and they are looking really pretty. No, I hope you didn't take a screenshot. I hope you did not write that in your notes. That's not it. That's not how you grow on Instagram. Yet I understand that's how a lot of us think you grow on Instagram. A lot of us think that's what you got to do for social media. That's what you have to do for TikTok. And that's how you grow on YouTube is you find the right hashtags, you dance and you look really pretty. You have a better life than everyone. That's not true. That's absolutely not the case. Let's talk about the actual growth strategies. How do you actually grow on Instagram in 2023? Well, let's talk about it. Step 1, share worthy content. And don't worry, we're going to go through each of these in depth. So I'm going to share with you what the strategies are, and then we're going to talk about them in depth. I will also say we'll do some more Q&A at the very end of today's training. And I want to reiterate that even though a lot of these strategies are specific to Instagram, they can be applied to TikTok, to YouTube. They can be applied to a lot of other social medias because most of these social networks work in a similar way. They have similar goals. So step 1 is share worthy content, or I should say strategy number 1 is share worthy content. Strategy number 2, hyper consistency. Strategy number 3, dominate SEO. Remember SEO, we talked about it earlier. Number 4, generate intentional engagement. And then number 5, trend forecast. These are the 5 growth strategies that I see as most effective in 2023. Now, can hashtags still help you grow? In some cases, sure. But generally speaking, these are the 5 areas that I see, the 5 strategies that I see as being most beneficial, the best return on investment in 2023. Aniston, did you have any questions or anything you wanted to add?
I was going to say that now, if you want a screenshot, this is the right slide to screenshot.
There you go. Yeah,
thank you for that. It really is.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, definitely. If you took a screenshot of the dancing and the magic hashtags, delete that one, replace that with this. This is a great place to take a screenshot because we're about to go through in each of these in depth, but this is a great overview. Great point, Aniston. Thank you. All right, let's talk about that first one. Share worthy content. What do I mean? What am I talking about? Why shares? Why content that is share worthy? Well, because when your content gets shared, what does one share equal? One share equals, on average, 400 additional views on average. So if you are creating content that is share worthy, as in worthy of your followers sharing it with their followers, worthy of people sending it in group chat, sending it to their friends, that on average equates to 400 additional views. Just one share. 2 shares, 800 views. 3 shares, 1,200 views, right? The math is crazy there. That's why share-worthy content is the difference maker. On Instagram, people like to talk about, getting saves. On TikTok, people like to talk about, you need to have people watching longer videos and watching a longer duration. On YouTube, there's all these different metrics, right? There's so much that you could think about, so many different kinds of engagement. But I would argue that there is no form of engagement that matters more than a share. So share-worthy content. What is share-worthy content? Well, let's talk about that. What is share-worthy? Is this, answer me in the chat, yes or no? Is this something that you would share with a friend? Is this a photo that you would like, if you saw some random person post this online, would you share this like with your friends and share this to your story and tag a bunch of people in it? And hey, you got to check this out. This is such a great post. Would you, yes or no? No, of course not. Right? Like, unless that's your cat, you don't really care. Right? Someone said depends on the caption. Probably not though. Right? Okay. Well, what about this? Yes or no to this one? The salad that someone had for lunch? No, of course you wouldn't share this. Of course, no, there's no reason to share because it's all about what the person had. Like, there's no value. There's nothing captivating. There's nothing inspirational. There's nothing motivational about this picture of a salad, nor in the picture of the cat. Well, what about this? What about this cute selfie? I just moved into my new kitchen. I got a couple yellow accent pieces. No, this is all about you. It's self-serving. It's a selfie. Selfies are self-serving. They're selfish, right? There's nothing for the audience. There's nothing for the viewers. There's nothing, again, it's captivating. There's nothing that's motivational or inspirational. There's nothing that does anything for anyone else. It's just an all about me social media post. I show you these to tell you that you already have an idea in your brain of what is share worthy. You already have a good idea of what is and what is not share worthy. What is and what is not. So you don't need to, have this long detailed explanation of what is share. Like, what about this? What about the products? Me holding up all of my like shampoos and, hey, it's a flash sale. Here's the company I work for. And here's, I'm a distributor and here's the products and they changed my life and I'm obsessed with them. No, none of this is share worthy. So what is share worthy? Share worthy content is emotional or inspirational content. Share worthy content is relatable or entertaining content. It's controversial or thought-provoking. It's timely and or it's about like a trending topic, maybe something that's in the news. Oh, I'll go back for you so you can screenshot this. These are the 4 main things that we see as share-worthy. This is what share-worthy content is all about. These 4 things right here.
On the top of your head, if you could even think about your post that you've shared, what is something that kind of pops into your mind of share worthy?
Yeah, for me, I think this is a great question, Anderson. I think for me, it's always number 1 or number 2. Something that's like emotionally or it's inspiring, like it's a motivational quote, because oftentimes those motivational quotes or those inspiring moments, we all feel like we need a little inspiration from time to time. We all feel like we need a little kick in the butt or motivation. So I think those kinds of things are super share worthy. And then relatable content, like self-deprecating jokes. That's one of my favorite go-tos of, like, I like being sad about getting 3 likes and how the algorithm hates you. Like that's a very relatable feeling.
Yeah.
And so that's very share worthy. What's not share worthy that a lot of people think is let's say I share like some really great juicy tip, something that's super valuable, something that's like, ooh, this is a new hack for Instagram and it's 14 tips to get better hooks for your Instagram, whatever. That's not very share worthy. And as you look at this list of 4 things right here, I did not include super valuable educational content, right? There is a place for value. Value matters and educating your followers does matter. And it's a great kind of post, but education and a useful tip, those things oftentimes aren't share worthy. Those are the types of things that people like screenshot or they save. But in today's social media, that's not often what we see being shared. So great question, Aniston. Thank you for that. I'll let everyone take a screenshot right now. And I appreciate that Christoph gave the 100 emoji. Bernardo said a big smiley face. So that's share-worthy content. That's the first growth strategy for 2023. Let's now move on and talk about hyper consistency. Hyper consistency. What do I mean by that? How do I define that? And why does it matter? First and foremost, I want to show you this graph. This is a graph comparing the average growth rate on Instagram. This is specific to Instagram, but I can tell you that the graph for TikTok and for YouTube and for every other platform, it looks very, very similar. So on the left, you see growth rate. On the bottom, you see number of posts per week. And here's the actual data plotted out. There's the actual data. And so I don't think I need to draw this line, but I will anyways. It goes up and to the right. It goes up and to the right. And then I do want to highlight this number for you right here. That's 7 posts per week. That's 1 post per day. Look at that jump. Look at that spike. Look at that number. That's why that's my goal I'm going to set for you. That's the goal I want to set for all of you, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter. That's my goal for you, 1 post per day. I will say on YouTube, it might be lower than 1 per day. It might be more like a couple per week or even 1 per week. The level of consistency on YouTube is a little bit lower. It's a little bit less frequent. But again, Instagram and TikTok, your goal is at least 1 per day. This graph shows us very plainly, the more you post, the more you grow. In every industry, the more you post, the more you grow. On every social media, the more you post, the more you grow. Now, I can feel everyone's level of anxiety rising. I can feel everyone's level of frustration. Okay, Brock, that sounds great. The more you post, the more you grow. But how? How do I post more? How do I not spend hours and hours every single day on my phone? I can tell you that with systems, you can spend less than an hour per week creating content. I spend less than an hour per week creating, planning, and scheduling all of my content. But I'm able to maintain a super high level of consistency because I know the more you post, the more you grow. So let's talk about how is that even possible? How posting more is even possible. How do we do it? Like, how do you even post that much? Let's talk about it. First and foremost, I want you to remember the story of the tortoise and the hare. And I want you to not get caught up in the rat race of I need to post 17 times per day. And I know that might contradict what I just said because I just said the more you post, the more you grow. But now I'm telling you to not post. No, what I'm telling you is to ask yourself the question, what can I sustain? What can I sustain? Type a number 5 in the chat if you're with me right now. Type a number 5 in the chat if you heard me say what I just said, which is that you need to ask yourself the question, what can I sustain? Not how many times did Brock tell me I need to post? Not how many times does my competitor post? Not how many times did this expert tell me I need to post? Not how many times, no. You need to figure out what works for you. You need to figure out what you can sustain. And then here's the key part. Here's the kicker. Here's the important moment. Not just what can you sustain, but then challenge yourself to do a little bit more. Challenge yourself to just dial up that notch just a little bit more, right? Because if you're only doing what you're comfortable with, you're not going to grow. I'm talking bigger than Instagram right now. I'm talking life. If you stick with what you're comfortable with, you stay cozy and comfortable, you're not going to grow. You're not going to get better. You're not going to reach new heights. You're not going to find that success you're looking for. So figure out what you can sustain first, figure out what's comfortable first, and then push yourself to do a little bit more. Judy, you're going to have to answer that for yourself. How do you know what that number is? You're going to have to figure out for yourself, what can you sustain? Judy, if you can sustain 1 post a day and it's not overwhelming, it's not draining, it doesn't lead to burnout, then you can sustain 1 a day. What if you did 2 a day? What if you did every other day you did 2 a day? Every single one of us has a different answer for what you can sustain and how you can find it. Number 2, stop overanalyzing your content. Type a number 3 in the chat. Be honest with me. Type a number 3. If you feel like you overanalyze your content, you overthink it, you second guess it, you spend a lot of time trying to make sure it's perfect, you compare your content to other people, be honest with me right now. Type a 3 in the chat. If you're a little guilty of that, maybe even maybe not all the times, but at least sometimes. Yeah. Stop. Stop comparing your content to others. Stop overanalyzing your content. Stop trying to make, I'm going to be honest with you right now. Stop trying to make A+ posts. C's get degrees. Stop trying to make great home run, slam dunk, perfect posts. It's impossible. And how often, tell me this, type a number 1 in the chat. Type a number 1 in the chat. If you've ever made a post and you're like, this is great. I think this is awesome. This is one of my best posts I've ever made. This is one of my best YouTube videos, one of my best TikToks, whatever, one of my best things I've ever made. And you post it and it doesn't do well, or it at least doesn't do as well as you thought it would, right? That happens to every single one of us, myself included. So the lesson to learn from that is that we should stop overanalyzing, stop trying to make perfect content, stop trying to make great, amazing, slam dunk A+ posts, and instead just post it. Just post it. Rip off the Band-Aid, jump off the bridge into a lake, and just post it. Just get going. Exactly. Just post it. Stop overanalyzing. Number 3, schedule. That's where Metricool comes in. You need systems. You need tools in place. You need automation. Metricool is my go-to platform for doing this. Metricool was a game changer for me when I started using it. Now it's actually almost over half a year ago. I've been using Metricool, and it's what's allowed me to show up on multiple channels. It's what's allowed me to get consistent on YouTube and on TikTok and on Twitter, platforms that in the past for me had been an afterthought. I was the Instagram guy, and I was ashamed to tell people about my other social networks because I couldn't stay consistent. I couldn't schedule my content. I had no way of staying on top of my analytics. And if I did want to try to post on multiple platforms, it took me flipping forever. oftentimes I would make a great post and I would want to share it on TikTok or I'd want to post it on YouTube, but it would just take me too long. That's where Metricool comes in. Anderson, I think we have a link. Do we still have that link that we wanted to,
Yes.
that we could share with everyone? Yeah.
I'm going to share a link to our registration page. And if you use, I'll also share a code. So if you use code Brock, then you can try any of Metricool's premium plans, 30 days for free. So as some of you may know, Metricool has a completely free plan. You can access most of our features, but we do have some advanced features. So you can use code Brock and try any of our premium plans, 30 days for free. So make sure to check that out, and we'll drop the link in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Anderson. I appreciate that. That's a very, very generous code. And yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that because the basic plan for Metricool is free, which is so awesome and so generous of them. Russ said, I've been a Metricool user for a long time. So that's really, really awesome to hear.
Yay.
They're my go-to scheduling tool, and I am obsessed with the tools and the features and the capabilities of Metricool. Such a game changer for me. It just simplifies my entire process so that I don't have to worry about checking on every single social media and logging into each of them and scheduling the post for all of them. It's just like a few clicks and then I'm done. So that's that's the third way, I should say, that I'm able to post more on social media. And then the fourth tip that I have for everyone is to upcycle your content. Again, remember, we are talking about how to post more. I want to share how you can upcycle and what does that mean? What does upcycling your content mean? Upcycling is taking content from the past, taking things that you've already shared, whether it's on that same platform or on a different platform, and posting it again. Taking something that you posted, let's say 3 months ago or 6 months ago, that got a lot of likes or got a lot of views or it performed well, and sharing it again, posting it a second time, or tweaking it a little bit, maybe changing up a few words here and there, re-recording it, but it basically being the same thing, and then posting it again. Kind of mind-blowing, but I want to share a case study with you. I want to share a little test where we use this strategy for 1 week, and this was across I think it was 5 different Instagram accounts. 5 different Instagram accounts in multiple industries, I should say, multiple different verticals, multiple different businesses. So for 1 week, across these 5 Instagram accounts, we only upcycled content. So we only posted things that we had previously posted for a week straight, only posted things and not just shared to a new platform. Like these were 5 Instagram accounts. We were taking posts that we had already posted onto Instagram. For 1 week, we only did that. And here were the results. New followers increased by 244%. Reach increased by 189%. And engagement increased by 178%. And my favorite stat of all is that our time spent creating new posts that week, 0 minutes, 0 time, because we were sharing things that had already been posted. One of the central ways that I am able to post so much across all these different social networks is because I am constantly upcycling my posts. I am constantly taking things from the past and posting it again. I want you to take a guess in the chat. Guess what percent of my posts follow this strategy? What percentage of my content is upcycled? Is it 15%, 25%, 30%, half of my content? What would you say? What would you guess, I should say? What would you guess is the amount of my content that is upcycled? Anderson, do you have a guess?
That's a good question. Ooh, I have no idea, actually. Maybe, I'm going to say 35.
Double it. 2/3 of my content.
Wow.
2/3. 2/3 of my content is upcycled. It's either something that I've previously posted or something that I've previously posted and I'm just like making a slight tweak to it, because my thought is, why do I need to reinvent the wheel every time?
Yeah.
A wheel already is a wheel. It's round and it spins and it works. So I'm just going to slap a new one on. I'm going to grab one from the past. I'm going to slap it back on. So we don't need to archive the posts from the past. We don't need to delete the old ones. No one's scrolling back that far anyways.
Yeah,
right?
You would never know.
No one's scrolling back to what I posted in January. No one's scrolling back to what I posted even 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So 2/3 of my posts are upcycled. They're reposts. That is what allows me to post more. And that's what allows me to stay super frequent, super consistent without stressing myself out, without overwhelming myself, without running out of ideas because I'm using things from the past. Crazy, right?
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I love this case study because it was just such a great example of what that looks like in practice. We're going to get rolling here because we got 15 minutes left and I got to get through these last 3 strategies. So dominate SEO. That's the next one. Dominating SEO. Again, we already talked a little bit about what SEO means, search engine optimization. And here's a great stat for you. The majority of people under the age of 26, so my age and younger, search on Instagram and Google over or Instagram and TikTok, over Google. They prefer searching for things on social media, on Instagram and on TikTok over Google. Also, does anyone know what the world's biggest search engine is? It's Google, but the world's second biggest search engine is YouTube. YouTube and Instagram and TikTok are ginormous search engines. So, how do we improve our odds of being discovered? Keywords are absolutely essential. And what a keyword is basically any word or phrase that relates to your niche. Any general searchable word that relates to your niche or your industry. So when you're thinking of keywords, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't use some special insider lingo that only you know. Don't use that one phrase that you made up. Don't use that catchy title that you call yourself or the nickname that only your friends know. Searchable keywords, words and phrases. Like imagine if you were to go to Google and type in some words in order to find your Instagram, or type in some words that allowed people to discover your TikTok or your YouTube. What would those words be? What would those general terms be? Don't overthink it. Keywords. And here are, you take a screenshot of this. I don't need to roll through each of these, but these are 8 different areas that social media generally relies upon. And again, it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. These are 8 general areas that are used for SEO. So you can take a screenshot of this. These are 8 general areas where you can be thoughtful about your keywords. Could I incorporate any keywords into my username? What about into my hashtags? Maybe into my comments, I'm going to include some keywords. In my caption or description, these are areas where you can include SEO keywords.
Do you have any SEO tools that are your go-tos?
I actually don't use very many myself. Do you have any that you had that you wanted to share, or were you just curious if I had any?
I was curious about yours, but I use one called Keyword Tool. That is my go-to.
Okay.
I love it. It has search, it has trends across all platforms, and you can filter it by country. It has the competition of it to see how, and it has the trend of if it's a downward trend, upward trend. But there's a lot of other tools like it, but it's great to
Gotcha.
just have a grasp of what's even trending across different platforms.
Totally. You said it's called Keyword Tool.
Yeah, I can drop the link in the chat, but
Awesome.
definitely try it out. It's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm definitely going to use that. I do like using the website answerthepublic.com. I'll use that occasionally, not very often. I don't do a ton of keyword research or analytics because I don't like to overthink it. I don't like to put too much stress into it. But for something like a YouTube title, that would be very, very helpful. Definitely. So I'll definitely look into Keyword Tool. I like that. And Judy asked, what's it called again? Yeah, Keyword Tool. So that's SEO. That's how you dominate SEO. Now let's move on to generating intentional engagement. Who in the chat, type a number 4, type a number 4 in the chat if you feel like your engagement has gone down, if you feel like it's tough to get people's attention and tough to engage with people on social media. Yeah. All right. Well, then let's talk about how to get that engagement. And the first thing I need to tell you is you need to forget about the algorithm. Stop focusing on the algorithm. Stop worrying about the changes of the algorithm. I hear it every single day. The algorithm changed. Here's the new algorithm update. The algorithm hates me. I'm being shadow banned. The algorithm. Forget about the algorithm and instead focus on the audience. Focus on your followers. Focus on your existing community because those are the people who dictate what happens with the algorithm. We, all of us, the users of social media, of Instagram, the people who have accounts on YouTube, who watch videos and who watch TikToks, we dictate the algorithm, not the other way around. It would be a very bad business decision if these algorithms dictated themselves, if they decided what we want to watch, because then we wouldn't want to watch. We decide what we want to watch. So focus on the audience, focus on your viewers. And my tips for that, my tips on how to boost engagement, I have some strategic tips that I can share with you on how to boost engagement. The first one, always start with a hook. Start with a hook. And a pro tip, and a hook is basically just something at the beginning of your content that draws people in, right? It doesn't matter if it's a TV show, if it's a newspaper article, it doesn't matter if it's a TikTok or a reel or a carousel. The first slide, the first few seconds, the opening phrase, draw people in. And one of my pro tips for your hooks is to occasionally, not always, but occasionally incorporate some sort of like a negative word, like the word stop or avoid or don't, right? What was the title of today's training? Why 99% of creators fail to grow, right? The other side, like we could have called it why 1% of creators succeed, but that would be less engaging. That would draw less attention. Instead, we're focusing on the negative occasionally, not always, but occasionally. Start with the hook. Number 2, use a clear and simple call to action. Type a number 7 in the chat if you're with me. Type a number 7 in the chat if you can hear what I'm saying and you're still paying attention and your hand hasn't fallen off from taking notes yet. Yeah, that what I just gave you is a clear and simple call to action. I gave you a direct order, a direct, explicit thing to do, action to take, and I even told you why to do it. I told you why to do it. So use clear and simple calls to action in every post that you can. Every post. End it with a call to action or even put it somewhere in the middle. Number 3, the third way that you can increase engagement. Actually, before we move on to the third, before we move on to the third, add the call to action. This is another little pro tip. Add your call to action in the actual content rather than in the captions. That's why it says content is greater than caption, because it's usually more beneficial to add your call to action into the actual YouTube video, into the podcast, into the TikTok, into the reel, rather than adding it to the caption. And the reason for that is that most people are probably not going to even read your caption, which means that most people are probably not even going to see the call to action. So add it to the content rather than the caption. Now we're moving on to the third tip, which is to reply to comments, but reply with a follow-up question. I don't care if you're on Facebook. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn. I don't care if you're on MySpace. I don't care what platform you're on. When someone asks a question or leaves a comment, even if they just say hard eyes, do your best to ask a follow-up question. Let's say someone like gave me a clapping hands emoji, right? They commented clapping hands on my post, and that was the only comment I got. I could say, thanks so much. Did you remember to save this? Thanks so much. What was your biggest takeaway? Thanks so much. Have you heard this before? Thanks so much. Thanking them and then asking a follow-up question to create a conversation, to treat people like people, to network, to be social. So ask a follow-up question. And then this last strategy is a little bit advanced. But hey, we're 53 minutes in. You've been with me this far. So I figured you could handle this little bit of an advanced strategy. Advanced strategy is when you make your next post. So when you upload your next YouTube video, when you post your next TikTok, when you share your next Instagram reel, go back to your previous post, whatever your previous post was, whatever the last post you made before that was, and like all of the comments. Leave a like. Now, you've already responded to them. You've already had a conversation. You've already asked a question. But now you're going to go back and like the previous comments. And just in case you need a little example of what this looks like, here's a comment section where you can see Dear Sweetness left a comment and Just Seconds replied. Steph's Niche left a comment and Just Second replied. We're having follow-up questions. We're having conversations. But then when Just Seconds makes their next post, they're going to go back to this one. They're going to go back to the comment section and like each of the comments. What does this do? It does a few things. It now increases the odds that that person who left the comment, who's already a super engaged follower, right? They're already like your top tier follower because they're leaving comments. They're now more likely to see your next post. The algorithm is more likely to show them your next post. You have also liked their comment, which will likely send them a notification. Hey, Just Seconds liked your comment. And then they're like, what comment? Just Seconds, what they do? And then they tap on your profile, and now they're seeing your new post. This is already your most engaged follower. This person already most likely wants to see your content. That's why they're commenting. They want to see your posts, but sometimes they might miss it. Sometimes the algorithms, they get a little funky. So doing this will increase the odds that they actually see your next post. Thank you, Taylor. Taylor said that's a gold nugget. I appreciate that. I figured, you've been with me for 55 minutes, so I figured at least one gold nugget was valuable to walk away with. And then our last growth strategy, before we open it up for questions, because I'm sure we have quite a few, is to trend forecast. What does that mean? What does trend forecast mean? What am I talking about? First of all, use apps like TikTok and CapCut to find trends before they blow up. Oftentimes, you're going to find trends. You're going to spot content that is popular, that's maybe reoccurring on TikTok or some of these templates that exist on CapCut before they blow up. Those are my two favorite apps for finding trends. But what I need to tell you is this: original content is preferred 4 times more than trending content. So I don't want you to get caught up in the rat race of which audio is about to trend, which template is about to become popular, what's the latest, editing style that's popular with Reels, what's the latest trend that I need to do on TikTok or on YouTube. Original content is preferred 4 times more than trending content. What does that mean? That means people want to hear your voice. They want to hear you talking to the camera. They want to hear your stories. They want whatever value or education or inspiration or motivation or tips that you have to share. Preferred 4 times more than trending content. So don't get me wrong. Having a nice trending audio or spotting a template on CapCut or on TikTok that's about to blow up, like that can be helpful sometimes. But studies show that on average, people prefer the original content 4 times more than that trending content. So if you're late to it, if you don't know what's trending, it's all right. Focus on this. What is working? Focus on original content, raw, imperfect, authentic. As Russ Johns just said in the chat, just show up. Show your real life. Be your authentic self. Don't try to, copy the post of someone else or, mimic someone else's speaking style or use some phrase because someone else used it. Focus on being yourself. Focus on creating this raw, real, authentic content. And before we open it up for Q&A, before I sign off today, before you go about your merry way and you ice your hand from taking so many notes, I want to encourage you to just get started. I know I just shared a lot of information with you, over 100 slides, and we're going to answer questions. We've been together for an hour. I know that oftentimes social media can feel overwhelming. I know that there's a lot of value and a lot of, notes you probably have from today. But what I need to tell you is just start. Rip off the Band-Aid and just get started. Jump into the pool and just get started. You need to take the leap. Stop overthinking. Stop overanalyzing. There is never going to be a better time than right now. There's never going to be a perfect time. You are never going to be perfect, and your content is never going to be perfect. But the only way you're going to get better, the only chance you have of growing, the only chance you have of growing your business, the only chance you have of reaching new followers or going viral or becoming the next it person, the only chance you have of even making a dent is if you just get started. So if you take nothing else away from anything else I've said, I hope you have some inspiration to just get started. Anderson, I would love to start with some questions. I'd love to get going with some of those.
Yes.
And I appreciate everyone in the chat who's been very engaged tonight. I know a couple people said they got to run, so I appreciate you all for tuning in. But I hope you can stick around for a few minutes as we do some Q&A. Anderson, if you have any, that'd be awesome.
Yes. Okay. So the dietitian, the trainer says, been posting 5 days a week for 6 months, but I'm not niche down, grew 300 followers. What is the timeline for growing if I niche down? So I'm guessing, kind of average timeline, I guess, of when can you see results?
Yeah, well, I would say it's awesome that despite not being super niche down, you have already grown and that you've found some consistency by posting 5 days a week. Typically, when you do get super niche down at first, it's like crickets because oftentimes you already have followers who maybe they're not interested. Maybe it's friends and family who don't really care about what you actually want to post about and what you are actually, what's actually related to your niche or your business. So at first it might be challenging, but if you need like a set amount of time, I would say at least 3 months, at least 90 days, like commit to being niche down and being consistent for at least 90 days. Then once you reach that 90-day mark, then you might want to readjust your strategies. If you're not growing at all, if you've seen no success, you might want to change things up a little bit. But don't give up, just change things up. And I would say wait at least 90 days. Also, Anderson, I think we can take down the slides if we want to
Oh, yes.
get rid of the just start so we can, yeah, there we go. Make ourselves a little bit more full screen. I love it.
Okay, this next one from Marie. Thank you so much for the class. Super interesting. I was wondering how important captions are. Apart from being useful for SEO, should we take more time thinking about the content than the caption?
Okay, so I believe I wasn't sure at first if she meant like the closed captions or the actual captions. So I think she's referring to the actual caption below the post. It's important, and yes, it matters for SEO. But what we've found is about half of your viewers aren't even going to read your caption, and that's on Instagram. So on Instagram, about half probably aren't even going to read your caption. On TikTok, it's lower, less than half read the caption, and on YouTube it's the description, and that's also probably on average less than half of your viewers are going to read the description. So it matters, especially for some posts where you have to share additional details in the caption, or you need to like share a recipe or some extra tips, whatever, a story in your caption. But oftentimes I would say it's much more important to focus on the actual content rather than the words you're typing in the caption.
Definitely. Okay. Do you change your content slightly when posting over different platforms? So Instagram versus TikTok, for example?
Great question. Yeah, so I do and I don't. Some content I intentionally create it knowing that, hey, this is going to be shared on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and I'm just going to do all that in Metricool with a couple clicks. And so I create it in a way that I know it's going to show up on all of those, and I know it's going to fit the dress code. That's a great analogy that I like to use. Is every single platform, even though they are similar, they have slightly different dress codes, slightly different like expectations. It's intuitive when you're watching a video and you're like, I don't think this was supposed to be on TikTok. I think this was just a reel that someone repurposed.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll create that with that in mind so I can share it. But then other times I will create content specifically for each platform. It takes a little bit more time, but oftentimes it can yield better results.
Perfect. Okay, this is a great question from Angela. How accurate are the suggested posted times in the planner? So Metricool has a feature of the best hours. So this is generated from user specific feed. So this is based off of specific audiences. So it'll pull in those suggested post times dependent on when your audience is more active. So if that makes sense, it's not a general kind of suggested time. It's specific to your followers and your audience. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I love about Metricool is that it has those suggested times. And what I usually tell people is use those as a guideline, right? That's not necessarily going to guarantee success, but it's a great guideline to say, hey, this is generally when your audience is going to be most active or most engaged. And so you can test out posting at different times within your kind of recommended time or your most active time to find your your true best time, what works for you. But I love that guideline that you have in Metricool. Like it's so useful.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I'm going to take a few more questions. I know
Cool.
we're going over time a little bit, but
No worries.
we're hanging out.
We're hanging out. We're here. Hanging out. We're here.
When it comes to posts in the feed, do you recommend doing a little bit of everything, reels, images, carousels, or is there one type of post that does better than others?
Great question. I do recommend experimenting with all three. Definitely try all three out. Figure out what works best for your audience. This isn't 2022 anymore. In 2022, it was like reels, reels, reels.
Mhm.
But then at the end of 2022, Instagram's CEO was like, this is literally what he said. He said, we went too far and we pushed reels too much. So they
Yeah.
balanced it out. So reels are now balanced with non-reels. Reels are balanced with photos and carousels. And so there's a lot more of an equal playing field now. So I would just, no matter who you are, test out posting different things, post carousels, post reels, post photos, post them all, and see how your audience responds. And you might find that your audience responds really well to one over the other. And once you figure that out, then you can have a more informed decision.
Mhm. Perfect. Okay. This is going to be the last one, I think.
Mhm.
What to do with a brand's profile picture? What you share may work for personal brands, but does it work for, I'm guessing, professional brands?
Mhm. Yeah, so great question. Yes, 99% of what I shared today does apply to business brands, professional brands, as well as personal brands. The one distinction that I might make for a profile picture specifically is your profile picture needs to be, and this is if you're someone with a logo, it needs to be a logo that's designed to be a profile picture, not just some logo that you would like hang on a banner or put above your storefront. It needs to be a logo that's specifically designed for your profile picture. So let me think of an example that we all might know is like Google, right? Google has the actual word Google, and it's got the like rainbow colors and it's got a specific font, but they would never use that as a profile picture because when you crunched it down and made it super small, like it'd be so hard to
Yeah.
see on mobile. So instead, they would just use like the big G, right? It's perfectly designed to fit in that circle. It's eye catching. So my recommendation for anyone who uses a logo as their profile picture is just make sure that the logo is actually designed to be a profile picture, and it's not just something that you're scrunching down and making really small, and now no one can read what any of the words are.
Yeah. That's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Brock, thank you so much again. That was amazing, so informative. And for anyone who is not able to watch this, it will live on our YouTube channel, so you can access it at any time. Or if you want to rewatch it, take notes again, you can see it on our YouTube channel. That's all from us today,
Awesome.
and we'll see you guys the next time. Thank you again. Have a great night.
Thank you, Aniston. Thank you, everyone.